pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, this is a part of the meeting that if you're not on the agenda and you got something you want to bring up, you can bring it up and we can take it under advisement, talk about it at a future meeting. So is there anybody that's not on the agenda that has something they want to bring up?
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
You want us to sing to you?
No. Absolutely not. All right, first on the agenda here is
Mike. I made a mistake, and John Wallace did, I'm not sure I pronounced his name correctly, with 17 Indiana. He did ask to be on the agenda, and I missed it, so.
Okay, we'll amend it.
Okay.
Put it on here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moxie Music, I think we talked about some courtyard permits. I know you guys, I think you had sent us one before, but you had multiple dates on there. It actually kind of confused us for the fact that, you know, it's almost like you had something for the whole year, but we don't know if that's gonna conflict with something that's going on somewhere else. So can you clarify a little bit?
So we're basically doing what Main Street did the last 2 years. We're just taking it forward to the third year.
Okay.
Last year and the year before, they had the first year they had 6 dates, the second year they had 7 dates, so we just kind of copied that. Unfortunately, I don't know if you were aware or not, but the group that was in charge of that, at that time, no longer existed. Now, it's my understanding there might be another Main Street forming, I don't know, but at that time, the car club came to us and said it was completely canceled. And so I believe I reached out initially to City Hall, and they said, yeah, in order to do it, we have to, get permits, insurance, etc. So we stepped up and we did it. And so when I talked to Jennifer, it was kind of like, hey, we're taking this over. We're not doing the movie part. We're just doing basically what was done last time, and then adding 2 charities to it to give back to the community. That's part of our mission.
Okay. I don't think there's any conflict of what you were doing. It was the matter is there were so many different dates that we didn't know if there was, you're kind of locking it in for the whole year, and we didn't know if somebody else would come in on a month-to-month basis and kind of conflict with something else that's already going on, so.
But due to what we're doing with the advertising and everything, it is 7 dates, it is 7 bands, and it says on all our advertising. That's why I didn't want to risk going month to month. I wanted to go ahead and take care of it all at once, like they've done in the past.
Well, I think we can probably go out on a limb and probably just approve it, and if there's a conflict, they can be on the other side of the courtyard if that's the case, but.
Well, and there is one thing with the prevent child abuse, but I think they are on the front, and yours will always be at the end and the back, right?
Is that where they?
The pinwheels or the shoes?
Yeah, they always do the sidewalks over here, so yeah.
And in regards to that, a friend of mine listened to your minutes from last time for me. I have 0 problem with one of their reps here, or I can reach out to them to incorporate that if they want to bring more awareness to it. The other thing I do know, but I don't know if it directly conflicts, and I didn't know it when I set the dates, is Mayberry. But is Mayberry doing anything on the physical square that night? Because in the past, they've done it at Mid-America.
Not on the 21st, so I actually did call Eric Lowry today and confirmed with him that they will not be on the square on the 21st, only the 22nd and 23rd.
Okay.
So we confirmed that that date was available today.
And I mean, if any type of charitable group wants to represent something on one of those dates, like I said, our main mission for adding the charities is a mentoring component of our store. So like if a just needs a certain date because it has a certain meaning to them, and I'm already, got my because I got all my advertising on hold right now. I have 0 problem incorporating them, and I'm just saying, bring awareness to this or whatever, because our smaller bands will be in the gazebo. But we do have 2 big bands. One has 8 members, one has 9 members that will be on the concrete too. And then the other thing that we asked for, which has not been brought up yet, is a lot of the car people, the reason they haven't come here to bring more cars, to bring more people, etc., is because a lot of cruisins block office space for them. One of the things I had in the paperwork for you was, can we have the inner circle? And I've already talked to the sheriff's department. If we get permission to have that, they will keep an eye on that. and that way the nicer cars don't have to worry about a kid with sticky fingers bumping into them, and that would bring more traffic and more people. It'd only be 2 hours.
That's fine. I think, again, I don't think there was any conflict with what you do is in the multiple dates, so, and making sure it didn't conflict with something else, so I guess if you
None of this is satanic music, right? Okay.
Just so you know, our sponsor specifically asked for classic country and classic rock. So, and family, of course. I mean, some classic country and classic rock isn't necessarily, but yes, because at the end of this day, our store wants that. I mean, I appreciate you guys want that too, but our store also has our image on the line. And we've got 14 sponsors that I shared the same thing with.
I know you've never done that in the past, but I just wanna make sure I did
Yeah.
ask this.
No.
Okay.
And last but not least, all the bands in fact are either Scottsburg local or very local. So with the exception of one band that's from Corden, which is a little ways away, everybody around here knows them, and some have played in the past on the square, and they have a pretty decent following.
Okay.
Okay. Greg, question? I'll entertain a motion to accept or approve the courtyard permit for Moxie Music.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes the motion. Greg?
I'll second.
Greg seconds that, I'll make that unanimous.
Thanks for coming in. No problem.
Yeah. Thank you, cause it does help bring people into the area.
Yep, and with the two charities that we're helping, we're actually helping the high school and we're helping Shop Sheriff, so
Yeah, it's a good deal. Thank you.
no problem.
No.
It's okay, we,
Oh, yeah, you can go straight through here.
No, you gotta stay for the whole thing.
Trust me, you don't want to.
If I gotta stay, you gotta stay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Lexington Fire.
Thank you guys for having us tonight. Greg, I didn't have your email, could not send this to you. Randy and Mike, you guys, I believe you both have seen this in the past. I don't know if you guys spend a lot of time looking at it right now, but something to take with you past tonight. But there's two things on the agenda. One, I think, was a permit. Do you want to talk about that first?
Yeah, you go.
That, I think there's an application, that was a different committee working on that, so I know enough to be dangerous, but if you want to.
You're talking about
About
for
the
the
road
run.
closure, this would be very similar to what they did at Englishton Park with 5K on those, that was just a fundraiser.
Shay's reached out.
Correct, yeah. So I assume that you have what you need on that.
I think we're in good shape. I mean, I think.
Good deal. The other piece we're here tonight is just talk a little bit about, Lexington Fire Department and our community building. You'll see in this, synopsis that I gave you, this is more of an internal document, but starting back in, early 2020, we formed a committee of 5 members, and we've been planning for this for 15, 20 years, but we actually formed a committee, what is 4 years ago now, that looked at a strategic 25-year vision. Through that, to date, this document was actually written in 21, and it's been a roadmap of how the fire department has worked through the last 3 years of how we budget, what we're looking at strategically, and so on and so forth. But the purpose, I just wanted to bring a little awareness, discuss this, see what questions you guys might have, because currently we're at a point to where we need to move this project forward. Our current fire department, we've outgrown it. The building is quite dilapidated. The building on the back, which would be our office and training area, it used to be a bank. It was a manufactured facility that we've remodeled twice in the 24 years that I've been on there. But to give you a little context, we've been 5 years without heat in that building, 5 years without AC, 3 years without heat, pure and simply because it's not worth putting money in. The original base structure of the firehouse, it is sufficient, and actually in very good shape. We added it about 2 years ago, as memory serves me, but what we found to be the most economical was to tear off the old bank portion. We can tear out one wall and add to the pole barn structure that we have, and that would suffice our needs for 25 plus years. Actually, likely significantly longer than that, but that's the context of why, or where we're at and why we're coming at, because we were looking for the most economical way to approach that and utilize what we have that's still good. I mentioned some dates of where we started in 2020. We just 2 months ago replaced our first out engine, and what we replaced was a 1980 truck that was donated to us in 1980. So we used that truck 45 years, and we knew we were going to have to replace it, but we didn't want to move forward with the building until we did that. We found a 1998 truck, very low miles, very low hours, that's going to service us for 20 plus years, we anticipate, and we don't have to have the nicest, newest stuff. You know, it's what we're used to. We get by with it. We've got some mechanical-minded people, as all the departments do in the community. I mean, you use what you have. So we've got that in-house now. It's in service, but we feel like we're better positioned to move forward with this. And so specifically tonight, I want to come and request, are there any potential for ARPA funds for this project? And the reason being, outside of just the firehouse, I've got the full design. I'd love to share you with those guys, but our vision has an upstairs and a downstairs, 2 stories with a walk. It's actually a walkout with a 1 story with a walkout basement on the backside, because that was the most economical option to do that. We had full plans. We got a grant from the Redevelopment Commission 2.5 years ago for $10,000, and that paid for our plans. We had a designer build them, so we would need some time to go through the permitting process, because we were advised to wait until we were closer to break ground before we went through the state permits, but we're at the point of ready to pull the trigger on permits. What this building will allow with the 2-story structure, we do not have to finish the basement. Significant cost savings there, but now's the time to put it in there. Our vision for the basement is it's spec'd out with multiple offices, kitchens, bathrooms down there, that long-term, it could be offices like we've discussed, with possibly a trustee want to rent office space there. In our past, Greg, I don't know, you may or may not be aware of this, but we've had 2 bridge projects within a small area of Lexington to where they have rented and brought in $500 to $800 a month for the fire department to rent office space. And we would do that long-term if that were ever an option. You know, that's worked very, very well for us. When they put the sewers in Lexington, they rented office space off the fire department, great income sources. And as we'll get to in a minute, we've never spent a penny of that money. We've been saving for 25 years, 20 at least, I can tell you exactly. And I jokingly said to somebody a couple weeks ago, I was like, we're a fundraising group that fights fires on the side, because really and truthfully, that's what we do. We get, Brad's our treasurer, but we get $42,000 a year from our trustee. Our budget well exceeds that, but we raise that money frying fish and holding our hands out. Nothing special that we do, but that's just what we're good at. So with this building specifically, our vision, you'll see through it, there's 900 square foot of meeting space. Strategically, we're located within eyesight of a radio repeater, of a water tower. We do have a 30 kW standby generator, so we could power the building near full power in the event of a disaster. We've got multiple showers in the plans, multiple bathrooms, to where if there were a Henryville type scenario, we could house the community. I mean, there's been a lot of thought, strategy put in this. It's not a firehouse. This would be a building for the community. We're going to use it as a firehouse, but that's kind of our vision, and that's where our heart's at. Prior to the dilapidation of our building, like I said, we used it for office rent spaces. We had a lot of birthday parties, a lot of family reunions, because the building was suitable for that. It had a kitchen in it. You guys, I think you've all probably been through that one time or another, but you know, for 4 years now, we've done 10 months a year, we do a drive-through fish fry, hugely successful. Community loves it. Right currently, we're pulling people every month from 3 different counties, and I would say I'm guessing 70% of the people are repeat customers. Phenomenal opportunity for us. This would give us a better structure for that, this building. But I know you guys are getting a lot of stuff thrown at you. I'm just putting it out there. Another part that came up in our vision, there's been no commitments about this, but this came from our group internally, is as the county grows, you got River Ridge down there expanding rapidly, we're in the southern part of the county. I would assume, I don't have data about that, but the Lexington area is posed well for Scott County for growth, housing, whatever that might be. As we think about our location from Scottsburg, we feel like Lexington's a strategic, location, maybe for this type of facility. And one thing that we have, there's gonna be an extra bay or two, because there's not much cost to add that space at this time. But if the ambulance service ever expanded or needed to expand, this would allow, if that worked for them and you guys, but there would be a place to put an ambulance there and housing 24 hours a day for those people. Again, no commitments. I know I planted that seed with you guys several years ago as a what if, but that's still in the plans. I have talked to Nick to get some information. Currently, like 10 to 12% of the runs are within 7 miles of Lexington. You know, as fuel, we're not dealing with $2 fuel anymore. You get travel time. There could be some savings for the county there. And I think that residents of Lexington, and I know the fire department would welcome that if that were ever an option down the road. So a couple things, I'll just leave you guys and I'll answer questions. Like I said, this is not something that we just dreamed up last week. We've been working for it for many, many years. And I'm gonna ask tonight for $150,000 is what would really help us put over the top for what we need. But one key piece with that is, we've got currently on hand, dollar for dollar, to match that. I'm not coming to you with an empty checkbook. Like, we have saved significant amount of effort and time, doing everything we can. So it's not just, right now, we're in a position to where inflation, building costs, all of that is, it's going faster than what our money's making us. But we continue to save, and if it takes us another 10 years, we'll continue to save. But I just feel like we don't have 10 years to wait at this point because of the condition of the existing building. We have people, we had to turn, or discussing, a couple days ago, somebody wanted to do a spaghetti dinner. We have funeral requests, we have a funeral dinner in firehouse. It's just not suitable to use the meeting hall right now. So anyway, I know I throw a lot out there with you, but really looking at the impact it could have for the Lexington Township for certain. We think it has some potential for the whole community, and you know, you guys are getting a lot of stuff thrown at you. I certainly don't envy your positions or want to be sitting in your seat, but if this is something that you guys think you could support and help, we sure appreciate it.
Yep, well, we sat on a meeting yesterday or day before, Greg, with the Ray too. I mean, I'm not saying, I mean, and I guess I could probably say this. Not talking about the ARPA money, I'm talking about ready-to money that the state's got out there right now. With your proposal and with what you've already gotten, I don't know if it's too late to get a proposal in. It's kind of iffy one way or the other, because we were talking about the fair board as well. To get more grants into the ready-to projects, what is that, April 4th, that they have a date that they're gonna be in Scott County for, presentations. And I guess where I'm saying you might be able to qualify, might be able to get on that, agenda is that, they haven't locked everything in so far, so, I think they're looking at anywhere between $50 and $80 million that Southern Indiana's gonna get. Not saying that we can't help with ARPA, I'm just saying that this is another, avenue that you could possibly present, and, I will get you, the information email to the guy with Ready One and where you could contact them and say, can I get on that agenda to where you can present, because you've already got your presentation. All you have to do is, you're gonna have 7 minutes to just give your speech. So I'm not saying that it's locked out yet. I'm just saying that I know they're coming on April 4th for the first, hearings of, hey, here's the presentations and here's the wants. And they're going to all 5 counties to do the same thing, so, and then at the end of that, the 5th one, they're going to decide what projects and that, and the funding. I will say this, cause I think Scott County didn't fare very well on the first Ready One. And I think they know that, and of course, I gave my displeasure of where the money did go and why we didn't get, the projects, but we did, and to our detrimental, we did not present a lot of projects. And, this time I do know we have, what, 10 projects, probably 8 or 10 projects, so.
Overall, with Austin and Scottsburg.
So there are some projects out there, but there are, I'm not saying you can get in, I'm saying that I'll get you the information and you can ask to get in that. And again, you already have your presentation, so it'll be something you can walk in and just drop it. But as far as, the area plan or the ARPA money, we're down to, a few months away from having to, disperse all that money. And we need to, make sure all the things we do have out there are funded, that we've already got plans for, but, not saying no to anybody. I know there's been some words out there that said, oh, we told people no. We've not told anybody no. I mean, we've said we're gonna have to table it until we see where the bottom dollar is, because we can't promise, 15 people money that we don't have, so. You got comments or?
Well, I agree with Mike, this is already a good presentation, already. We have to check though to make sure that they'll add, get you in for that, and then even if they do, I mean, even though it's a great project, it's needed, we know that, but it may not be qualifying for Ready 2, at the end of the day. They have projects that they're looking for, and, but it's good. We'll certainly get you in if we can. We'll make calls to see if we can get you all added and go down that path. I mean, that's the best. Yeah, it's the best way to go. If not, we've got, there's a few things out there we're looking at, and we certainly want to be able to help everybody. I think that's probably the first path to go is going through the presentation. We're doing it too. I mean, Rich, you do get on it, Donald behind you, you get on it. There's a lot of us that will be giving presentations for a lot of needs that we have with cities, counties, amenities, or whatever. So, like I say, you guys have got a great presentation. Just deliver. So, hey, to your point, you're exactly right. I mean, you guys are growing out there. I know that.
And we're expecting within the next 10 years, that growth is gonna be
Yeah, I mean,
much greater.
yeah, and that's, quite honestly, that's what we're selling to, the redevelopment, folks, right, for Ready and those folks, to let them know that, we are growing. And they know that.
So we wanna be ready for that when it happens. We don't wanna be caught, sitting on our hands,
That's right. Yeah, we gotta be proactive, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, we'll work with you guys, figure something out.
We'll get send an email to Corey. And, he can, tell us whether, if there's an opening or, we can get somebody else in or not, so.
If you said that, I'm not familiar with that. Is that something I should research prior to? Or?
It's actually, well, Ready 2 is the governor's, program that he did it last year with Ready 1. They found $50 million, or I think it's 55 at the end of it. They gave out to what they call regional projects that not only just help Scott County, but would help Jefferson County, would help Park County, would help other counties. But like Greg said, sometimes it drops into a specific project that will benefit like a park, a walking trail, something, a housing or something in that area. You know, infrastructure, you know, sewer systems, pools or whatever. I mean, it would have to fall into an area of fire protection. You know, I know they, you know, that could possibly fall into, because it's a community organized thing that you guys do mutual aid to New Washington, to Clark County, and you do go into Jefferson County as well. So I mean, it's something that actually could, you know, fall into that category, but we're not the people that determine if the project fits the scope of what they're talking about, so, but it's worth a try. I mean, it's, and I hate to say this word, but it's free money out there, and this, we're talking this time, $75 to $80 million, and, hopefully we get a little, I mean, we've got several little projects. I mean, none of it adds up, I don't think, to $15–20 million if you got them all. I mean, so we're still on the, you know, downside of a lot of projects I know in other counties, but I mean, still our, you know, ours are, you know, good projects for our community, and could help out a lot in several different ways, so. But it is an opportunity. I know we told the Fair Board the same thing, you know, they got some projects that they're wanting. We told them to get a presentation together, get on the agenda as well. Whether they have that flexibility to get other people on the agenda, because, you know, I know we put in for our grants last September, October, so there was a deadline back then, but I think they've opened it up and kind of on the at-need basis, they're adding some people, so.
And we can make that call for you guys.
We appreciate it.
So Greg will.
The program's administered by the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, so you can find kind of the criteria and information on deadlines and things like that on there.
But I do that, we had a meeting yesterday, like I said, kind of a strategy meeting, and, they are, coming April 4th. I think they're from here 10 to 1 or something like that.
Yeah, so that's that'd be the day.
They're gonna be here in the courthouse.
No, they're gonna be at the Mass Park.
Okay. One of the issues when we've approached some other grant opportunities throughout fire service grant options, and one roadblock we've had is there's grants to build a multi-million-dollar new firehouse. There's nothing, they don't want it as renovation. And we just, given the way we're used to operating, we can't tear down a usable building which maybe that's the best thing to do to try to approach the grants, but that's not who we are. I mean, we're not true to ourselves in the community, and we're going backwards. So, I mean, we want to use, we had a member last week literally took glue and staples and put his fire boot back together because we're trying to save money, not buy our food. That's a true story. I'm not a sob story, but that's what we do, you know.
Everybody, I know, and it's unfortunate. I mean, fire departments have needs. I mean, Wayne, they've got needs in Diana.
Absolutely.
I know, you know, the guys out at Lobster's got needs too. It's tough. And it's trying to find the funding for it's even tougher. So, I mean, I call all the time, and it's just like a dead end road, so.
Well, thank you guys for your time.
Get with them, and then, like I said, when we, sharpen our pencil and get down to where we know what we've got left. I mean, what projects we've already, you know, expended money on, we'll see where we're at on that as well.
We weren't eligible for the Ready 2. Would this fit, I'm not saying, I'm not looking for commitment, but would this fit the realm of ARPA? Because my understanding it would, I don't know if we bought it up by a tree.
I'm sure probably,
I think it would.
We would have it reviewed by outside counsel to make that recommendation. We do that for all of the requests, but my initial inclination is most likely, because of the way the commissioners and council allocated the funds, the distribution was less than $10 million. So under the final rule, we can essentially use the money for most purposes aside from paying down debt, and if it would involve doing an interlocal agreement with another governmental entity, I believe that would be permissible that event. But I would have to confirm that, but that's my initial take.
We,
Thank you.
we have the authority to do that. I was coming to shut the road down for 2 hours. Did anybody, I mean, did they give that permission?
Yeah, I believe that has to go through us too.
Well, that's, I mean, that's why I'm saying we're probably
Yeah,
gonna
you're
vote
just-
on
I
that.
think you're just signing off as the Board of Commissioners though, right?
Right.
Yeah, we've applied for the permit
Yeah.
within the.
I'll entertain a motion to, allow Lexington Volunteer Fire Department on, June the 15th from 8 AM to 10 AM, or from 8 AM to 10 AM to shut down Road 203. It doesn't really say where, does it? Oh, it's from Getty to Plymouth.
Yeah, make that motion.
Randy makes that motion, Greg.
I'll say.
Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so I'll just sign this. That goes back to her, because the auditor has to sign it, so, alright.
Got a couple of registration forms if y'all wanna run.
He runs, I don't. I usually
Will not make it.
I'm usually running away
Thanks,
from.
guys.
Scottsburg Main Street.
Gentlemen, I'm John Vanover, owner of Dirt Boys and Sweet Fizz on the First Street
Yep.
side of the square.
Thought I recognized you.
In hindsight, I should have brought more flyers, but basically, we're looking at, doing a local business-owned driven event to give back to the community, try to promote some community growth downtown, and just do something for the kids and the youth of the community. Looking at doing this, this Saturday, from 11 AM to 1 PM.
And did he fill out the permit?
I think they have.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to allow the. No, I just got confused, because it says Main Street, so.
Yeah, well, I've been working in conjunction with the remaining members of Main Street. Like I said, pretty much anyone involved in the downtown community, yeah.
Kevin's contacted me, John, Eric's contacted me.
Sounds good. Randy makes a motion to accept the permit, Greg?
I'll say.
Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, I don't think Greg signed anything, so, alright, appreciate it,
Guys, I
thank
appreciate
you.
your time.
Good night.
Grace Christian Academy,
We've got their permit, I'm not sure they're here.
alright,
Here we go.
and what's the dates for it, or what is it?
It's the day of prayer.
Okay. Looks like, Thursday, May the 2nd for National Day of Prayer. Looks like they're gonna use the gazebo. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes a motion, Greg.
I'll say.
Greg seconds, and I'll make that unanimous. YMCA.
Hello, everyone.
Oh,
Don?
where's your purple at?
I didn't, I did leave practice, so. One today.
You need to get him a purple.
So.
Well, what are you laughing for?
My closet has definitely gotten brighter, let's put it that way, than what it was.
So in school,
So, first of all, my name is Donald Connor, and I am the CEO of the Scott County Campbell YMCA. I've been serving in that position for the last 8 months. So I wanted to come and speak with you guys over some of the updates of our projects, updates of our facility, and all the things that we have going on. I'm sure you've been probably aware of some of the great things that we've been doing over the last 8 months, and I wanted to talk about just kind of where we're at with some of the projects we have going on, specifically pertaining to potential project expansion of a childcare facility. So just kind of go over the bullet points. You guys have the paperwork in front of you of what we're looking to capture. So currently, we all know about, you know, the pool project or the open space that we have, approximately 10 to 11,000 square feet of space. We're looking to potentially renovate and revitalize that space into a childcare / multi-purpose space. Some of that space would include housing up to 68 children from ages 3 to 5, being a licensed facility, licensed ministry facility that is a path-through to equality, along with adding multi-purpose space. That is including a turf, and then also a multi-purpose court that could be used for indoor tennis, indoor soccer, basketball, you name it. We'll put it there. That facility includes about 7,000 square feet of childcare space, along with adding on to the back, which would include a playground as well. So what I wanted to talk about was through Ready One, we have received some funds. Then we also are in partnership with the Scott County Community Foundation and trying to raise money to do phase 1 of our project. Phase 1 of our project includes repairing the masonry, purlins, and roofing structure that currently is our shell surrounding the pool. With Ready One funds that we've been blessed with, and trying to raise other funds, we are still short of completion of raising those funds for phase 1 of our project. So that's kind of why I'm here today to ask if you can help us with the gap that we have from our Ready One funds to complete our phase 1 of our project. Now, phase 2 of our project is fixing the shell from phase 1. Phase 2 of our project is the inside of the facility, which would include the classrooms, the kitchen, the indoor multi-purpose space, along with the turf space as well. So we're meeting again, you guys brought it up, Ready 2 on Thursday, April 4th. We have a presentation ready for that to present on Ready 2 to try to proceed and get those funds as well. We're also working with United Way and other entities as well. So we wanted to go around to local governments and officials and ask if we can get close and get help trying to raise the funds we need to complete phase 1 of our project.
So does phase 1 have, is the pool out or is the pool in?
So that probably needs to be a longer discussion for another period of time.
Maybe it's out.
So the thing what we're looking at is, one, sustainability for the Scott County Family YMCA. The second thing is bringing jobs, all right, to this community. The third thing we're looking at is childcare is needed. If you look at the page that I have, the third page that I gave you, talks about the lack of childcare that we have in this community. Early Learning Indiana has it as 919 kids do not have access in Scott County to proper childcare. We're trying to combat that issue, right? We're trying to see what we can do to better serve the community. If we can do that and we can offer that, we can get more people working, all right? We can help those parents who are struggling to do affordable childcare. There's grants available out there for us to get to offer that. There's food programs out there for us to go after. So the possibilities of us opening and doing this childcare facility is limitless, right? And when you're looking at what my goal is for the Y, is for it to be around after we're gone, and myself, right? Is that sustainability factor. So from a revenue standpoint, from a purpose of serving our community, that's what we're looking at.
So how much are you asking? Well,
Okay.
it's cutting the chase here, so.
Yeah, so we are looking for 250,000.
Okay.
That's what we're looking for.
Is that for phase 1?
That is to complete phase 1, and as soon as those funds are allocated, therefore we can start on the project immediately.
Is that primarily for matching, to help with the matching?
For the phase 1, yeah. So in kind of putting this all together and with Mike's question, it is in 2 phases. And so this first phase has no bearing on the final decision of what that space will be used for. These are repairs that have to be done no matter what the use of it is. If we were gonna put the pool back, this has to be done. So it's the exterior of the building, it's a lot of the it's all the damage that was created from having the pool in the first place. So it's getting all that repaired. So Ready 2 and the final outcome of that will be the final decision. And so we do have 2 proposals in there. So we do have a pool proposal in there and we have a daycare proposal. In the daycare proposal, as submitted, as you mentioned back in September, October, was an additional building attached to it. So nothing is 100% off the table. And part of phase 1, the funding is to be a feasibility study to assess directly to the pool. And we may expand beyond that a little bit more, but we know our experience from the past as an organization. We all weren't there when it happened, but we know from the past what's happened, and we know the shortfall that comes with having the pool. And so for that to happen it takes more than the why to make that pool successful. It takes a community of organizations that are willing to put in money annually to help support the cost of that pool. So just the membership alone doesn't support that. And to kind of lean on what Donald was saying and why the emphasis of that was on the daycare is we go from a guaranteed probably 100% shortfall of a cost by having the pool to potentially close to 100,000 positive with the daycare. So you talk about the longevity of the organization and stability. It's a no-brainer when it comes to daycare. So, and it is a preferred ready project. They have designated daycare as such. So we feel our prospects of achieving that is more successful. It's just all together. We have, and from the match standpoint, we have, people, organizations that are looking to, that qualify for that. And right now, we're not seeing any, that are willing to help us on the match of the pool. So that's why you're hearing the, more preferential talk on that side of it. But, nothing's determined until it's determined.
Well, the reason being is because, the governor's recognized the need for child care development for working families. So I think that's kind of a cornerstone to Ready to grow is child care. And so you guys obviously have a great project. And the other thing with that is that, most people don't understand that Y is also the primary child care in the summer. Because, when the kids aren't at school, families rely on the Y someplace to take their kids.
We do a 10-week Summer Champions Academy program with, we had 115 kids last year. So our purpose, what we say is we're more than just a gym, right? And this is just an added component for what we stand for, which is youth development.
So circling back to where we are at this moment, so we have the 433 from the Ready 1, not in hand, but it's been promised. So then we have architectural estimates of about $650,000 to do the work that we need to get done to that area. We, as Donald mentioned, we have gone to the other entities and still have more to go to. And we feel that we've gotten promising feedback from each of those. So we're just continuing on, spreading the word, looking for where the help may come from.
Comment?
Any other questions?
Do we have, I'm curious, is there any other commitments that's been made by other municipalities as far as investing?
Outside of municipalities, is that what you're saying?
With municipalities.
So nothing specific. So Scottsburg, we've met with them a couple times this year already with the redevelopment commission. And so they have been very open to it. There's potentially been a little bit of, unforeseen circumstances since our last meeting. So we're gonna be following back up to see how things pan out with that. But they were talking, a sizable amount. And to give credit, they were a huge benefactor to us the previous year. So $175,000, which we're still being very frugal with and using wisely. And so we still have some of those funds remaining to help us through this project. What basically have proposed is that if your organization decided to do something, that it would be on basically a reimbursement basis. So we wouldn't be asking just to give us a check. It would be a commitment up to a certain amount, and you could pay the bills as they come in on an interlocal agreement. That way you know that it's going towards what you indicated it for. And if something falls through, something doesn't work out, something changes, then you haven't even expended those funds.
Okay. Randy, you got any comment, questions?
I'm just curious, have you guys ever talked to any of the factories to see if, you could open up for so much money, you could have those employees come to the Y and?
Yeah, so we do corporate partnerships, and corporate sponsorships, with, a lot of factories actually, around here. When I go and speak to factories, it is, do you have childcare? That's the number one question. I'm getting a lot of feedback from HR is the dad might work first shift and the mom works second shift because someone has to stay home and take care of the child, right? So when you're talking about building houses and bringing people to Scott County, the people that are already here, being able to provide this service is just going to benefit not only the Y, but our county itself, right? So that's something we're trying to capture. Now, as far as having those conversations, that's the number one thing. Childcare. Do you have it? Do you have it? Do you have it? We have not proposed anything as far as financial or said, hey, if you give us this, we'll do this. We haven't done any of those talks or anything like that because it's so broad, right? How do I promise that your kids are going to get it and not these kids or vice versa? So, but we are, do have conversations,
I didn't know if any of the factories was interested in this as being a benefit package for them.
Yeah.
Whenever they're, trying to get employees, everybody's needing help.
Whoever can come up with second and third shift childcare will be a genius, I feel like. So, because, there are a lot of people that work second and third shift that don't have access to childcare, but that opens up a whole nother can of worms when you're talking about watching it. Yeah. So when you're talking about sleeping quarters and stuff like that. So we're still in conversations with those. We do have support as far as opening and building this as well compared to the other application that we submitted to Ready 2. So people are excited over this. All right, just for more of the factors than just having childcare. Right, so I think if we all can work together, this is something that could really, really bring growth to our community.
Well, to those employers, we have to sell health and wellness.
Yeah.
That's a big deal for insurance and getting people to work and being healthy, so.
And we offer discounts for, for employees, we offer discounts for EMS, we offer discounts for first responders, police, all of that. So that way, we're thanking them for what they do for our community. I think we have a partnership with, a really great partnership with EMS and Nick there, to where, they are able to use our facility. And we are also a 24/7 access facility, which helps anyone that can come in and be able to get, focus on their health and wellness.
Sounds good. Well, again, you heard what we said to the last group came in here. We are down to the last, few months here and we'll just have to see where we're at with our funds. And I'm thinking about something, but I don't want to say it here, but there might be an avenue that I don't want to bring it up until I know for a fact that we could use some other funding, so.
Understand. And that works well for us because the project really probably won't kick off till the fall anyway. So we're getting out today. and beating the bushes and letting everybody know. And so we know it'd be tough to make a call right here on the spot, so, but we're just getting out now, and so you guys can be thinking about it and make decisions in the next few months.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Don.
No problem.
Everything you
See
do.
you guys.
You do a good job.
We're gonna entertain a motion to amend the agenda, to include, One Southern Indiana, the recovery group, because I think technically the recovery group's just wanting some additional information that you have figured out, so I'll entertain a motion to amend the agenda.
I'll make a motion to amend the agenda.
Randy's made a motion, Greg,
I'll second.
I'll make that unanimous, so you guys don't have to come up here, but we do, I know Randy invited you guys tonight. Our attorney reached out to Frost Todd Brown about, the use of opioid money
Yes.
for structures, so I'll let him.
So, basically, I put out the question for just a generalized use on, I don't know what the specific uses would be, I guess. If you talked about buying structures and maybe having to do some work and things like that. What came back was basically a description that in general, yes, an approved use. My concern, contrary to what I was concerned about, they could find no restriction relative to brick and mortar or anything like that, and actually provided me some indications of prior uses that has been approved through the state, because the state also has half of what was distributed to the state of Indiana entirely. So the county's all split up half and the state got some. So what they said was basically that this would be an approved use from the abatement fund specifically. Yeah. What I would suggest is, in the past, when we have partnered with Cease, Thrive, or any of those groups, we have requested kind of a more fleshed out plan. So I think you all submitted like a program essentially of services that you would offer in a very general nature, but we really need to understand how much will be allocated for any individual one service. I mean, there were salary line items on some of it we received from, I think it was Scott County Community Partnership or Thrive maybe, I can't remember. But like, they specifically went in and explained exactly how the money was going to be allocated in their use, and we used that as part of establishing what we call kind of a sub-recipient grant agreement, where we put some restrictions on the reporting and things that would have to be done when the money was spent. But if you all can do that, and one thing that I do have, would probably want to request is I need an update on the 501c3 status. I need to know what is going on with that, when that will be approved, what your board looks like, all those types of things. But it is an approved use, so, and that money has been, I think we just got another round of distribution.
Yes, we did.
So how much
Beginning of
is
the month.
in the abatement fund?
For the restricted funds, we have a total of $540,802. In the unrestricted funds, it's $203,356.
So if you all can put something together, to kind of explain how you're gonna use it, provide some documentation on the 501c3 status, we could probably start into some preliminary discussions about what that might look like, if that's something the commissioners want to entertain.
All right,
Yeah. Thank you.
all right.
Thank you so
much.
Thanks. John, come on up. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Got an extra.
He likes to read.
All right, well, good to see you again. Before we even get going, I'd just say, thanks for the opportunity to stay a little closer connected here, and I've appreciated the engagement over the past couple of months as well, so thank you. We can, as we go quarter to quarter, we can adjust, and I can reach out and see if there's any special topics you guys want to specifically cover. But tonight I thought we'd do a kind of a quick recap of kind of recent highlights and activities. Since we last met, we concluded our year, so a quick recap there, and then I've got a couple other reports that I'll direct your attention to that I think will be appreciative of. So first, obviously, our primary functions around business attraction, retention, expansion, but you'll see a little graphic over to the side that I like just because I think it does capture the totality of the work that goes into economic development, not just the ribbon cuttings and the shovels. So when I give some of these highlights and updates, you'll see that this is not just, these are not just words, these really are kind of comprehensive approach. Next up is just, I know you have the luxury of getting to meet with me a lot, but we're a much broader team. I brought with you our newest colleague, Jack Harrison. Jack, you want to introduce yourself real quickly?
Sure, pleasure to be here. Jack Harrison, new economic development specialist. Graduated from Center for undergrad, did my MPA at Georgia State with a focus in planning and economic development. So look forward to being part of the team and supporting this community in the region.
You guys know some of our folks here. Ian Keller's been with us for 11 years. Matt Hall's a legend in the economic development space with about 30 years. Rachel's our small business navigator. She also administers our Metro Manufacturing Alliance. So Jack's coming in fresh into the industry, a lot of academic experience, but gets a good opportunity to really support the broader work of the team.
Brings the energy.
You got it. So activities and highlights, this past year, we responded to 130 new projects into our 3-county region here, including 295 kind of business outreach meetings. Those are typically existing industry or partners. Since we last met, I've listed there some of the companies that we've had the opportunity to connect with. Some of them are little things like helping them submit some end of the year filings. Some of them are potential expansion projects in the area. Obviously, I'll kind of stay semi-confidential on some of these for known purposes here, but continue to have a lot of good engagement here with some local folks. And then the last one I listed is Spot On Warehousing. There's some products within the county and within the cities within the county that have some unique opportunities and some private folks that are looking to increase the marketability of some of these products. So some good things happening throughout the county. Next on there's a couple of regional groups that we have historically been a part of, and so we have kind of brought you into that fold. One of them is the South Central Indiana Economic Development Group. When we talk about these regional partnerships, some people say, well, why the heck would you do that? In a sense, with this South Central group, these are 10 counties that all follow the I-65 corridor. So we acknowledge that we're different communities, but we've got some shared storytelling that can happen and some shared marketability. So the nice thing about this group, and I've traveled with them a little bit to do kind of consultant and industry outreach. I've listed a few there. Those are the ones that I've attended. When we attend these out-of-market outreach, we collectively represent those 10 counties. So even though I'm not at some of these, we're also kind of being promoted and represented with some nice collateral regional materials that talk about our industry advantages and just some of the aspects of our region as a whole. The one that I would mention there in late fall last year, I did have the opportunity to travel with a small delegation over to Japan, met with a number of prospective companies, also met with a number of our existing companies here, including the parent company of Austin Tri-Hawk, which is GTEC, and was able to coordinate with Mayor Hawkins and take a nice letter and some personal items from the county to hand deliver while on that trip. The greater Louisville, you guys are probably familiar with GLI, the Metro Chamber over in Louisville proper. We are a part of a regional partnership with them. Again, those same common kind of threads of a shared kind of metro area. So this past year, we hosted 10 national site consultants in market for 48 hours. Christian Evans joined us for that, was a panel presenter with his Builders Association hat on, but also his Scott County knowledge. So excited to bring you guys along for that. Just a note of, I think, of connectivity. I was invited and accepted an invitation to join the Indiana Economic Development Association Board of Directors in December, so I've been actively participating in that. Their primary functions are around statewide marketing and advocacy. So a little bit of work in Frankfurt, making sure that some of those policies align with some of our strategies. Just recently, last week, we had our regional leadership luncheon hosted at IUS. Mayor Amick was able to join. Mayor Hawkins had a conflict, but Richie was able to join. And I don't know if you heard, but I had some good walking music for him that I think you guys would have been proud of. But excited, we had a great turnout. I think over 250 in attendance. So good opportunity to highlight some of the activity that's going on and the vision for the community. On April 9th, you guys should have already received an invitation. I'll be hosting an invite-only exclusive event for our regional elected officials. So it's an opportunity to kind of come in. We'll have some different presenters and just kind of cover some best practices and topics, industry trends that we're seeing. But again, it's an exclusive event, so there won't be cameras or other folks, just an opportunity to really kind of share what we're seeing across the region and support our elected officials.
Sounds good.
The other one I'm going to highlight, and I'll come back to this and point you towards the report that I provided. You guys participated with us at the end of 2023. We talked a little bit about it at our last meeting because we talked about, again, yeah, there's projects and you're trying to close deals, but what about before that? And you're really assessing viability of parcels and sites, potential infrastructure investments that might be necessary to elevate the marketability. So we participated and convened our Scott County partners from city utilities to elected officials for our strategic site identification program. We had a third party, Leota Consulting, come in partnership with the state and with us, One Southern Indiana. They essentially did some desktop research and identified 10 potential contiguous kind of plots of land throughout the county. We had about a 2-hour phone call and went parcel by parcel, talking about the pros and cons and plans of the community around those sites. And from that, we just received back an initial report that I did put in your packet. So actually, I'll draw your attention to it just to stay on the right side over there, the blue language. There you go. So I'm going to tell you what this is and what it is not. This is not telling you by some of these score rankings that your sites are ready to go tomorrow and should be flying off the shelf. What it is telling you is of those sites and of that preliminary due diligence and what we know about infrastructure and related assets, that these sites would be viable if the proper investments and positioning were made on them. So again, on that first page, you'll see just a high level, 9 sites were assessed, and then you'll see some rankings, essentially 1 to 5. The second page, you'll see the Scott County map there with some various shades of green dots that indicate, again, 1 to 5, kind of the potential viability of those sites. And then on the last page, which is the more detailed breakdown of each of those parcels, the scoring, as well as some supplemental kind of narrative related to why those sites were scored in that way. I would welcome the opportunity to talk either individually and kind of dig into the report a little bit more with you. You are the first to see this within the county. My anticipated next step would be to go ahead and share this with our Austin and Scottsburg and the utility partners that also participated in this process. But again, our relationship is with you first and foremost, so just wanted to come here and again, let you guys kind of get a sneak peek at it. Ask any questions, again, probably best offline. But then share that with our folks. And again, I think the tool of this, again, is not that it says anything that scores a 5, we should be marketing tomorrow and should go off the shelf. But it is, I think, maybe helpful to decision makers and elected officials to say, okay, well, maybe we thought this site over here was the one we needed to really lean into, but the data is telling me it's actually this one. Or maybe you already thought it was that site, and this is affirming data to say we were right on the money. We need to consider what that access is or what the utility infrastructure is to take it up to the next level where it could be more marketable. So again, just want to get that in front of you. Feel free to take a look and review, and happy to answer any questions. I'm going to go ahead and go a little out. There's another document, and then right behind that, the bright blue. not gonna dig real deep into this, but I do think that this is helpful information. I said that we worked 130 different unique projects last year. I'm gonna kind of just generalize here, but roughly 80 of those came from the Indiana Economic Development Corporation, so our state economic development partner. The other 50 come from, my personal outreach, relationships, brokers in the community, you guys. They can come in a myriad of different issues, but because the majority come in from IDC, we get an end of year after action report from them. And so, again, I'll show you just a couple of things, just so when you dig in, it'll make maybe a little bit more sense. On the second page, I guess, as you flip it open, the far right, you see 501 plus. This is obviously in terms of square foot request. So we're just gonna stay on that far right, the three columns, blue, orange, gray, and yellow. The blue indicates 2020, so that says in 2020, the state received 3 requests for buildings over 500,000 square foot. In this year, we received 7 over that 500,000 square foot building. So just so you can kind of see the trend data back from 2020 to 2023, what are the types of products and buildings or sites is the private kind of sector kind of needing right now? So for your development partners, this is helpful information to know what our market is seeing. Next page, you'll see acreage request. Again, stay in that far right. In 2020, we had 1 project that asked for over 100 acres. We had 32 this year. So you can see the parcel size for the mega sites, and even 100 acres is not, if you would ask me 5 years ago, I would say 100 acres was a big site. Not a huge site these days. So again, you can kind of flip through there and understand, are they looking for sale? Are they looking for lease? Are they looking for rail? What's important to these companies as they're assessing our market? So again, just good information on the back end, and happy to answer any questions now or in a follow-up meeting from that. Back to the presentation. Last note on the activities and highlights. I just want to remind everybody that we I sometimes call it a chamber, mini chamber within the chamber. But our economic development team, as part of our strategy, also administers the Metro Manufacturing Alliance, which is just under 100 members of manufacturers throughout our region. We stay pretty close to them. We do monthly roundtables for plant managers, procurement, kind of across the gamut. Tonight, we're hosting a Women in Manufacturing event at Huber's, where they're drinking bourbon and wine and celebrating the industry and having fun and networking. But we have a range of activities that put us in a close proximity to our manufacturers. They represent over 25–30% of our direct or indirect employment throughout our region. So we stay very close to them to support them and remove barriers. At the same time, when we're bringing projects in, it's a nice ecosystem to point to say, hey, this is how the kind of environment that you would be afforded if you chose us. The last thing is you go to the next page, and I'm not going to dig into this because, again, I'll let you review. We finished 2023 out with a record-breaking year. We had 14 projects throughout the region. You'll see a kind of a breakdown of those companies and logos there. Comco was obviously our signature project in Scottsburg here within the county. The second slide there just is a breakdown of attraction projects. Again, new investments in the market versus those retention and expansion, working with companies that already have a presence. So you can see the breakdown of new jobs. Just over 2,500 new jobs last year, with just under 500 going to expansion and the rest attraction. New capital, so this is the first. First time 1SI has had over $1 billion of capital investment into the region in a single year. Again, lion's share goes to attraction there. New facilities, new buildings, so kind of starting from scratch. The next slide is payroll. This is probably my favorite. I think it's an undervalued statistic here. This is annualized dividends kind of back to the community. So when you look at that payroll, that's recurring payroll year after year. So 134 million in new added payroll year over year. The next slide, our average wage of those 14 projects was just under $26 an hour. You'll see the breakdown here. On the left, you'll see 2022's average wages for Clark, Floyd, and Scott. You'll see that 2022 Scott County's average wage was $20.97. You'll see that in 2023 that ticked up to $21.35. That is important because when we look at projects, that's one of the indicators. We don't necessarily oftentimes recommend that the locals offer incentives or support for projects that are below that county average wage. We want to drive up the household income in our community, and the state follows that same methodology. So unless a company, and we always set it by the previous year, so as I work projects right now, I am assessing them for Scott County based on 21.35 an hour. So unless they're paying that or above, it essentially doesn't unlock any potential support from the state, and obviously I would bring forward any of those opportunities to the local municipalities. The last one is our 1SI investor return on investment. We're pretty proud of this, and I would just also note the numbers we just talked about were for 2023. They do not include our recent announcements. We've had 3 announcements here in 2024, most notably the Meta parent company of Facebook located a data center. So our ROI right now in terms of that new payroll, for every dollar that's invested into our economic development work, we have an $89 return on that in terms of new payroll into the market. And then as far as new capital investment, we're just under $400 for every dollar invested into our work. So fast and dirty, high level-ish. Again, as we go through these, we can start to customize some of the content in advance. I'll continue to kind of get on the schedule and stay connected, but happy to answer any questions at this time.
I just want to say thanks, John, because a lot of people, I know, this is kind of behind the scenes, but, you know, we work with John a lot, and John, I know you really work hard at trying to find things that work for us. I know you're always reaching out and saying, hey, you know, what about this, what about that? Can you get that?
Some of them are a little crazy.
Well,
Michael, when you said, I don't know, we have 300 or 400 acres.
I
400
I
acres.
always want to make the call.
Folks, I don't think folks, just so people know, I mean, we're constantly, you know, trying to find, the right thing for us, and I appreciate, all the work even we do regionally, because, you know, if things don't work right for us and they work well for our region, that's still a win for us. I mean, because, you know, from a mobility standpoint, we are still, a great commuter, community, if you will. I mean, our infrastructure is pretty good getting to wherever you need to, whether it's folks driving to work or it's, you know, it's trucking, goods and services, whatever. So, a win, even in the region, is a win for us. You know, I certainly appreciate all the work you guys do.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo that. It's kind of funny, Meta came to Clark County because I'd actually just one night sitting around a computer, I fired off some stuff to some of those big wheels, just saying, you know, you wanna bring your corporate office to Scott County, we'll be more than happy to build you the biggest building you want, so. But it's kind of funny that, you know, they showed up down there, which is good.
You know, a little bit just high level on that, you know, that Meta project is special for a lot of reasons. Not a huge headcount, about 100 direct employees, but they're anticipating, you know, 150 to 250 people badging in and out, which, you know, to an economic developer tells me there's a lot of indirect opportunity that's going to come off of this. And so we are well positioned, I think, to tell the broader community story, to make sure that, you know, not everybody fits at River Ridge, right? It's not, and for some of these smaller companies that are going to come in maybe with 5, 10, 25 person headcounts to service, right, this infrastructure, those are great opportunities and great projects for some of our smaller communities. And I'm excited that, yeah, I got to hear some of that earlier meeting. Obviously a lot of excitement and opportunity related to Ready. You know, I was involved the previous year, not as intimately. This year, they formed an investment strategy committee that I have the honor of serving on, and I'm optimistic that there will be a lot more intentionality in how dollars are distributed under those core pillars of quality of life, housing, education, but not doing that overarching of saying, okay, does quality of life belong in this county, or is this county childcare or housing? And I think taking a much more kind of focused approach and taking county by county will serve our broader 5-county region well.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you for, you know, coming in and giving us this information, because, you know, it gives us tools to know what we need to look at and try to help you to help us, and which is exactly what I was asking for the last couple of years, and since you've taken over, you've done that, and I really appreciate that. And, so. thank
Well, I'm
you for
around
all you
even outside of meetings, and I hope that has showed, so please reach out if you have questions or just wanna discuss something.
Well, the other part of that is, I know in the past, we've asked, you had so many contacts of industry or businesses wanting to come, you know, interested in Scott County, but then when they don't come here, there's never that back door of, here's the reason we chose this over this. And, you know, for a small community, you wonder, what do we need to do to get to that level of, you know, having someone be able to want to come here, and is it infrastructure, is it school, is it housing, is it whatever?
Yeah.
You know, what is the key for people to wanna come here? And I will say this, and I'm gonna say, cause it's, I've lived here all my life, never in my life, cause I graduated in 77, 78, when you graduated here, you had to leave here to go get a job, cause there was no jobs here. So a lot of my friends went to Texas, cause that's where everything was booming in Texas. Now, never in my life, as I said, would I see a factory put a billboard up begging for people to come to work. And I do know some of the factories have even lowered the standards of, you know, drug testing and all the other things that, you know, you couldn't have got a job before. So it's sad that it's not just our community, it's everywhere. But I mean, where does it stop? Cause I mean, if we can't get people to work in the factories we have, cause there's a lot of them, and you well know, some of them would like to expand, but they can't expand because they can't get the manpower to work. Whether it's wages, I mean, and I don't think it's that, cause I know people that's worked in some of these factories before, they made decent wage. I mean, but it's, you know, what's the draw? I mean, so it's actually a sad state of affairs, I'm gonna say, cause not in my time did I ever think that people were out here begging people for jobs. I mean, so, yeah, I appreciate, as these guys said, I appreciate you guys, you know, keeping us in mind when somebody does come through and aren't looking for that 200 acre, you know, lot, or looking for something that we can actually utilize, you know, space we have and manpower and people, but.
Well, you know, I don't have a silver bullet. They're rarely, in life I've found, are rarely silver bullets. There's a lot of BBs, and one of those BBs is housing. And there's obviously a concentrated focus regionally, statewide, but even here locally, I can tell by the conversation. Childcare, big one. Again, all things that I feel like you guys are having the right conversations. On maybe a more transactional economic development side, I would oversimplify and say, typically, the reason is either so intimate to that company based on a supplier or a partner or some asset that we may or may not even be aware of that's driving their interest in the market. The other thing is speed. And again, speed can come in a lot of different forms, right? Does this track multiple owners? Do you already have a price? What's the utility? Is it a medium gas pressure line? I need high. What's your timeline to remedy these things and get me operational? A lot of the projects that we see already know when they need to start producing because they've already got a contract or they've already made a commitment to somebody. So we're gonna have this product to you by this date. So many of them are looking at multiple avenues and will get multiple projects pretty far down the line until they make kind of that, because you never know when the site's gonna come off the table, or so they're working multiple projects. And typically, if I'm gonna oversimplify, it's speed to market. Who can get this project and me going vertical as quick as possible? And so that's why for these responses, it's helpful just because we're going through some motions and answering those questions and getting the materials ready. On the other side of the site development, you know, that feedback that Leo is all of the ghosted projects that never gave us feedback. That's it, right? That's the assessment of so. You guys are doing the right thing just by asking the questions and showing up
Well, the answer to your email earlier this week, we don't have that kind of space.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I'd love to do that, but I don't know that we have that kind of.
Yeah.
Well, and also, you know, over the past few years, you know, we continue to see moderate growth, not, you know, where we wanna be, but we are seeing moderate growth, and,
Which a lot of communities are negative.
that's right.
Right, I know it's moderate, but we're one of the few in the state that is seeing gains, so.
And so, in my opinion, the reason that we're able to compete right now with surrounding counties is because we still have, even though the cost of living is expensive, we still have an affordability, that's a little better than the Clarks and Boards, right? So, again, that's why it's important, that we are part of, a regional group, whether we're tracking something, obviously, we're in it for us, but, anytime that, there's something regional, and we can still afford, have that affordability for people to say, hey, I'd like to live there.
And that's some good information, again, I say we kind of customize some of these, I don't have to, but commuter pattern data. It's pretty interesting when you really look at where your folks are coming from and going to.
Yeah.
I don't know how deep you guys have dug into that, but, a lot of folks are going to Jefferson County, Madison, for work, which is great, but there truly is a regional economy when you really look at the data
North,
of where
south,
people are
east,
working
west,
and living, and I think that breeds opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Thank you,
very much.
appreciate it. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Oswald. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Where'd he go? Come on.
Regional group that we're and so we can talk about this is.
I want you sitting near me.
Sorry, it's just the COVID. Just kidding, it's a sinus infection. There's two things on my paper that's not up there that no decisions have to be made, that do need to be discussed about, and we'll get to those in a minute. Financials are up top. February hasn't changed, obviously. Cash ledger's sitting at 825.
So we know where to borrow the money from.
Exactly. Run volume where we're at, 277 so far to date, and then 274 transfers to date. 277 for the month, sorry. 274 transfers total for the year so far. And then I've started my projection. Don't get too worked up about that.
So when is the paramedic class starting?
The day after the sun is more important, or less important than the moon. So the night.
You mean that 4 minute, hey, the storm came through and left?
It got dark during the day, yeah. Yep. So it'll be April 9th is the official start date.
It's like Y2, whatever.
Yeah, Y2K. All the computers are gonna crash.
Yeah, everything's going down.
But here we are. But yep, financial information, so far we brought in 489,000 for the year. And then we've done, already 1,112 runs for the year. We're projected to be 3% up on runs and 2% up on financials. Don't get your hopes up on the financials. Just give it some time before we start looking at that, but it's on there. Any questions?
Negative.
Okay. I was requested to get some concrete quotes last meeting, so you have concrete quotes in your packet, along with, building quotes. The building quote changed again.
Yeah, big boy.
A little bit, yep. And then, so, the first one is just the same thing, but it went up. The second one is a concrete and building, quote from, an Amish builder. That's why there is the informal. That's that one, yeah. I had to type that. Well, Austin typed that. The next one is.
So the first one.
Is just the building.
Just the building, no concrete.
Correct. And then the
second one's with the concrete.
Correct.
Okay.
The third one is just concrete, a couple with the first one from that person's.
That's the guy I had.
Yep.
Contact or he contacted you.
And then behind that is an electrical quote, it looks like, of what electric would be. That is the only one that replied so far. And then behind that one is another concrete quote. And I do have one more concrete quote that,
Actually, the concrete quotes look pretty close.
yeah, they're all pretty comparable, and I have one more that I did not print out because I had just gotten it. Let me see where that one was at.
So, so
There's the other one that's on here. So I mean, they're all within.
all within, it's 14A.
Okay. Some of them used rebar, some of them used mesh, some of them pressured at 4,000, some of them pressured at 4,800. I don't know what any of that means. So, I work on people, not concrete. So I asked everybody to bid the same thing. I don't know if concrete differs from mesh, that differs from pressure, that differs from fiber, don't know. But all of that is detailed in the quotes that they gave, whether they're using fiber and rebar or what they're using. The one that I did not print out that I will email you, is rebar, vapor barrier, and then they do angle iron around the outside. That includes rock, concrete, vapor barrier, labor, and equipment, and all kinds of stuff. So I will say the one that I did not print out is the only one that quoted the angle iron on the front. Their concern was just the truck's transition constantly running over there would start to crumble that.
Without a pad out there.
Yeah, and then I did notice that our garage bays that we have now that have been there since whenever are all angled iron. No, they're all angle ironed. So for what that's worth.
And there was like just $800 difference.
But you could ask.
Yeah, and he did that on his own. He said that would be the only way he would feel comfortable doing that, so he's putting that on his
If
quote.
we do that as a scope of work, then we tell them, hey, you all did it
With this and that.
with this.
This is all.
That's what we choose.
Yeah, I know that this is kind of a formal, informal way of just kind of seeing where we're at.
So we're somewhere in the $40,000 range all in.
With about
Actually,
50.
no, 50 with all in.
Because of the electric.
Because of the electric.
So that is where we're at on those. Is there anything else the three of you would like from me regarding that building, or is there anything you'd like me to move forward with as far as getting actual scopes, or are we just gonna absorb and reconvene?
I think we need to get actual quotes where we're walking now.
Okay, can I request?
It's under 50.
It's under 50, you can, it's at the discretion of the local agency, however, if there's an expectation that it might exceed 50, you should go ahead and do a minimum 3 quotes.
What if they're all different though?
That's what I'm saying, because
Yeah.
one contractor's not doing it all. We're hiring an electrician to do the electric. We're hiring a concrete guy to do the concrete. We're hiring a building guy to do the building.
I think we still
I
have
don't
to.
believe that you can,
Piecemeal.
yeah, I don't believe that you can piecemeal to escape the requirement to do the quotes. think
I don't have a problem getting quotes.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just quote, if you're gonna piecemeal the work, I would quote every single piece separately.
So I guess the ones on the concrete, do you want me to email them back and say, will you bid with these specifications?
Do you think that, Greg, do you think it needs to have a steel on the front?
I mean,
I don't know what that is.
I think you're gonna go apples to apples if you do that. I mean,
Yeah, it all needs to be the same, I mean, but I'm saying, do we want that? I guess my question is, are we putting an apron?
Not on that.
Yes, so everybody quoted a 6 foot, I think they said 1.5 or 2.5 inch drop, I don't know whichever one of those sounds right. Starting from here to here, there'll be an 1.5 or something, 2.5 inch drop, then it'll go flat into the bay, and the bay itself will have an inch, that's 2.5. And then the bay itself will have an 1.5 drop to make sure water does not stand pool from the sides being exposed.
Question.
Sir?
Is this a drive-through?
No. I wanted to entertain the idea of a drive-through, but it's going to be a bunch of
right now, we have to do very minimal groundwork because of
Okay.
what's already been done. I would like the idea of a drive-through, but then we would have to, dig up and then gravel, and then we would have to shift the building over so far to make sure the ambulances could get behind it.
Alright,
And then if we ever added on anything else back there, that would kind of eliminate the ability to do that. So, yeah, I
that's
just.
fine. Yeah, get, individual quotes
Yeah, I would
for,
just get
electric.
a scope of work for each piece, and then ask for quotes on each individual piece.
yeah,
Okay. I can do that, I can remember that. Yeah. Second is the Eclipse staffing. I provided you what the staffing is going to look like, unless there's just a huge objection from you. I assume this will probably be very heavy, but I'd rather be over-prepared than under-prepared. Depending on who you talk to, there's gonna be 2,500 to 250,000 people here more. I would just rather, my main concern is the traffic more than anything. And that's why I've kind of decided that I would like to have some outliers for a 3 to 4 hour period, just during when people start to travel, and we'll kind of play that by ear as far as when.
Index grade. Index grade. Traffic index grade.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of torn off. But I know that they're doing something at the Mass Park that we were gonna send the UTV down there for, just because there's gonna be an accumulation of people. We still are going to have to, again, play it by ear as far as traffic goes on what to do with some of the stuff coming out of the hospital as far as urgency or not urgent, and are we going to hold or not, for that hour window, and what we're gonna do. Because even if the people continue further north to go stare, they're gonna have to come back south.
does the hospital have any plans that they're doing as far as shipping, not shipping?
Unknown.
I think it's all an unknown, and quite honestly.
I have not conversed
I
with them.
don't wanna be the big pessimist here, but, I see it as a big thunderstorm going through, and it's gonna last for about 4 minutes, and then it's gonna be gone.
So, again, like I said, I'd rather be over-prepared. My main thing is the traffic, and if we don't have to deal with 9 miles of traffic, because I got a truck that's a mile and a half away, that's worth it to me. It is going to be an expensive day. Payroll's gonna be about $7,500 for that day, just to let you know. So,
How you gonna recoup that?
the not. Hope a lot of people have strained necks, I guess, I don't know. I don't know.
Just take that by the stomach as they're working.
Yeah, who did that? But we're gonna keep our 3 duty trucks will be at station. We'll have one out towards the Kimberlin Creek area, one out towards the Finley area, one at the Hardy area, and then the UTV at the Mid-America Science Park. And then you'll have, the 3 command vehicles, 2 of us will be at station. One will be out between Lexington and Vienna, between Kimberlin Creek and Vienna Fire Department, and then one will be out towards Pioneer Village. So you have everybody that's working that day, what trucks they're on, that way if there's any issues, you can yell at them and bypass me.
So how long are they on?
They're on, right now they're scheduled from 9 to 5. We're gonna kind of meet together just to see how this is gonna work. I'm probably gonna bring them in a little bit later, but keep them a little bit later, because again, the traffic is my concern. It's just getting.
Once everybody
places.
stops, it's like getting out of a ballgame.
Yeah, it's trying to funnel everybody out of it.
So you're not anticipating an increase across the entire weekend prior to? Because my understanding is there's a lot of hotels booked.
Yeah, they're all booked. I see an increase, but there's no way for me to afford an entire 5 days in my budget. I'd rather focus on the day. We still have our on-call availability signed up. We still have our RRT availability signed up. We're gonna try and push to get those scheduled, but the actual focus of a lot of traffic, I'm more concerned about the immediate day than the days leading up to.
How critical is it to get that driver position?
We've got it out, she got a response from them that, like the official job description from them. So now that I've got that, we're good.
It
We're good.
actually is, there's enough firemen that they can drive fire.
And I've kind of talked to them, you know, even if we don't get this in place, do we have a backup contingency, you know, of utilizing them? Cause I mean, depending on who you talk to, it's not gonna be anything, or there's some crazy stuff that goes on that I'm like,
Yeah.
so.
Woodstock stuff.
There's, yeah, so.
What else?
Two main things that we need to talk about. First one is, House Bill 1385 passed. And that has the potential to be really good or really bad for us, depending on what decisions are made. So I've attached what House Bill 1385 is. It's written in a way that only Zach can probably comprehend the first time reading through. So I called the billing department and said,
You have it? Yeah.
you can have mine, I'm not gonna read it. I called the billing department and said, can you explain this to me like I'm 5? And they did. So Anthem is the main culprit. Over the last few years, Anthem has been withholding, this is on a national level, this isn't just here, has been withholding payments, and very few insurance providers are in network with ambulance services. And the problem with that is, just like our county, people don't get to pick what ambulance service they call. Like, they can't be like, send me the one that's in network. That just, and usually when you need an ambulance, you don't have the time to be like, you cover this? Like, the time's not there. So you've got a lot of people that are getting billed, you know, $1,500, $1,800, $2,000 and plus dollars for these ambulance, you know, rides, depending on what's happening and the care that's been provided during that time. And insurance is covering a very minuscule amount, to the point where last year Anthem upped their rate that we receive, because we're a rural area. They upped their rate to we receive 146% beyond what Medicare/Medicaid pay, which for us that means about $600 is the most that they'll pay. We also have a contract with Anthem, as Scott County EMS has a contract with Anthem as the provider that says we will accept that payment. What this bill does is, effective January 1st, 2025, so 8 months from now, they're saying that Anthem, along with every other provider that's not Medicare or Medicaid, will have to pay a minimum of 400% of what Medicare and Medicaid pay. Sounds real good, right? Two caveats to that. Number one, we're in a contract with Anthem, and they require a 6-month opt-out. Because if we're in contract with them, meaning that we are accepting what they agree to pay at that $600 rate, we're in minimum Medicare, Medicaid, minimum is $265 to $285. So 4 times that is $1,200. So we're losing income by about half, keeping the contracted rate that we have now. Because the minimum they pay would be that $1,200. But then to do that, we would also have to increase all of our rates across the board. As far as mileage, which mileage won't have to go up a lot, or any at all, but our BLS 1, BLS 2, ALS 1, ALS 2, specialty care and critical care transports would all have to increase in billing amounts of what our base fees are. Because what's going to happen is they're going to increase their write-off and negotiated amount that's going to be universal, and then it's just going to drop back down. So what we would have to do would be not double, but close to what our rates are now to come out whole in this process. It would be good, considering how much, me being responsible for as much of my budget as I am, in the 96th percentile, it would be nice to have that extra revenue flow. But the only one concern, and again, we have time, we have till January to figure this out, but we need to make a decision about Anthem before June of whether we opt out of contract or not, because if not, then we're locked in for another year. So this is why I'm bringing this to you now. We would have to put a parameter in place to protect the citizens from getting that increased bill when they don't have insurance. If they already have insurance, it's gonna be negotiated, and they're saying that there won't be a difference because the negotiated amount and the Playmore amount, it's going to pass on to be about the same as what they would get now. The people that we have to look out for are the people that don't have insurance, that would normally get an $800 bill, that would normally now get a $1,600 bill. Like those, there is no negotiated thing, there is no insurance to bargain with, so their bills would go up, whatever we decide, if we decide to raise them. Now, we can put parameters in place where they call me and I have the ability to negotiate bills at a set amount that you guys set forth, or ambulance billing sets forth. But there is the opportunity to increase revenue with this House bill, because the government has finally understood that these services haven't raised their rates in 16 years, but everything that I have is quadrupling in price, that they've decided to step in and push forward with this.
So you're saying the bill is a positive for the service, but if we don't.
It has the potential.
If we don't change our billing.
If we don't change it a little bit, we'll have a net loss actually.
Then we're actually gonna lose.
Yes.
That 96% will go to 75. Instead of going to 100.
Correct. I never want to be at 100, just so you know. I don't agree with that. But that is something that, I think the conversation needs to start. As far as Anthem is concerned, that decision needs to be made by May, sometime in May, so we can give them the notice that they require. And then, you know, the fee stuff, we don't want to enact, we can decide whenever we want, but we wouldn't want to put that in place until January 1st, because if not, then we're kind of screwing people a little bit.
Alright, take that under advisement.
Cool.
What else you got?
Last thing, I'm gonna do my best not to name names. If I slip up, I apologize in advance. We had a truck that we have not been in possession with for.
Just the fuel pump?
Yes, we got it back this weekend. It blew up.
So they had a new fuel pump?
Yep.
It blew up.
Yeah.
The engine blew up.
It is no longer running. It was at Business A.
Let's back up a second. What year is this one?
20.
2020? Alright.
It was at Business A for warranty work. Business A had it for 3 months. Business A got it back to us last Friday, I believe. Went in service this weekend. Was it Monday? Monday evening, yes, Monday evening, they were transporting a patient, and white smoke started coming out of the tailpipes, and then it lost out power and shut off. Initially towed it back to Business A, and they said, we'll get to it when we get to it. I said, that's not a good enough answer, this thing is under warranty. We decided to tow it to Business B, which got us in the next day, because it was in the evening, got us in the next day. Has since diagnosed it, that said the work that Business A did resulted in this failure, because they did not remove the cab and chassis to do the work. And some of the stuff was not put on correctly, causing the fuel pump to detonate because of loss of pressure. And I guess overpressurized some stuff because it was trying to keep up. All the hoses are ruptured, and then the connections of said fuel system. I guess the whole fuel system's not in a great place right now. Like
This diesel.
Yes, not a place that you'd want to hang out with, I guess, right now. I went up there when they called me. We brought a truck to swap out the patient and continue them on their way. So that patient wasn't down very long.
So what's Business 1 say?
Business 1 said, bring it back and we'll verify what Business 2 said. So even though both are a certified dealer of this, and one has in fact diagnosed it, the other one that couldn't, we'll get to it when we get to it, can now get us in the next day or two to verify that is correct, and then we will move forward.
So is that still warranty work?
So, business B, who diagnosed this, says this is not warranty work because it is not a parts failure, nor is it a, manufacturing defect. You have, the last thing in your packet is an email that was typed up.
But a
from-
certified Chevrolet dealer worked on it.
Correct.
They're saying it's a labor.
They're saying it's a labor issue, so dealer B cannot cover dealer A's labor.
So I say we go back to dealer A and have them fix it,
Okay. I'm all for that.
because otherwise you're gonna have to sue dealer A to get your money.
And that is the second thing, is it is going to be, the 12-hour job was supposed to be about a 42-hour job. And dealer B can fix it and start on it tomorrow, but it is going to be an $8,000 to $9,000 expense. So right now I have it slated to be picked up first thing tomorrow morning from dealer B, brought back to dealer A to let them inspect it. But what I'm going to be out is three tow bills, a diagnostic at dealer B, and then a diagnostic at dealer A. And then if they don't cover, if they come back with something else, then what, I guess, what do I do?
Who are you using to tow?
Coomers did it sometimes, and Furnish did it the other times, just because it was available. I mean, and Coomers did good, that the truck that, they brought their big truck, I guess a 20, I don't know, did not like the ambulance, because the ambulance weighed just as much as the regular, and they were having a little bit of tug of war battle for a minute. They did a really good job.
The Mac?
Yeah. It took the wheels up off the ground when they were trying to load it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so, and then it's down south, which Furnish is closer to, so they're picking it up and bringing it back. But Coomers has done a lot of work for us over the last few days.
Well, my
I'm
thought
sure you've
is,
seen that on the Facebook.
my thought is that you went to the shop to have warranty work done to it.
Yeah.
Any diagnosis or anything else, any fee should be covered under said warranty, because it is still something, you know, as,
Dealer A did.
you know.
I guess, I agree with that, and that's what I was going to put in place. I guess my question is, what would you like me to do on the off chance that they say no?
The off chance they say no, what?
That
Well, I
it's,
guess if.
It wasn't them? But you have an email saying that it was them
What
by
would you, I
another?
mean, what, are you asking, what do you do in terms of?
Fixing this
review
truck.
traffic
Yes,
in the interim, or are you asking what do you do about getting the truck fixed?
yes, in the truck fix.
Okay, I think we just wait to make a decision after you have a
Okay.
response.
Can we agree
Here's what I'm gonna ask.
can we agree on the fact that if I get an answer tomorrow, and it is not what I would appreciate the answer to be, that we can schedule a special meeting to make a decision on what to do with the truck at least, so I don't have to wait 2 weeks?
I'd venture to say, if you get an answer tomorrow that says from business A,
Mhm.
that says, we didn't do anything wrong, I want you to call me, because I'm gonna call business A's owner
Okay,
and talk to him.
noted.
I'd be happy to talk to them about reliability and the probability of that failure occurring exists.
Yeah, it would have been less frustrating if a patient wasn't in the ambulance. So, that's all.
Okay, what else you got?
This is all.
All right, thank you, Nick. Thank you.
Yep.
Jeremy.
All right, well, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet for you
All right,
tonight.
what else?
We're gonna have to think about something to do with the 911 radio system we currently have, the Vertex, the Kenwood NX Next Edge system. We're getting ready to have to either put some money into it, or we can, since the only people I know that are still using it as a backup system is Austin Police Department, and they're only doing that because of possibility of the 800 system being busy on the day of the eclipse. All of the police departments are on 800 constantly, I think Scottsburg Police has one officer that goes on duty on the old system. EMS is fully operating on the 800 system. So we're sitting there paying rent for these tower sites. We've got the equipment sitting out there. It's a possibility of recouping some money, but I don't wanna get into that. Too heavy right now.
I don't know what you're saying, so I mean, I guess slow it down and.
We're not using the
Dumb
repeaters.
it down.
We're not using the repeaters that we're paying rent for.
So who's not using the repeaters?
The
fire
Austin Police Department,
Okay.
EMS, Scottsburg Police Department, and the Sheriff's Department.
So why is the EMS not using?
They're on 800, they're using the 800
I
system.
thought they went to, I thought after, the low band was repaired, they went back to low band.
We have not, they're still operating on 800. They have the 800 radios, so.
I thought when Michael Dyer came to repair the radios and got them repaired, that they went to low band.
This was before my time.
I get that, but I'm telling you that that's why he spent a few days here getting the low band back to low band.
Okay, no, we are operating on 800 currently.
Is this me?
This is you.
There is, in the city of Scottsburg, in the outlying limits, there is pretty good coverage. There is still, and we documented all of the tests in dispatch. I think Brittany was working that night. Anything that was pretty much east of Napper there, and then south of 356, there's nothing.
I'll get back to Michael Dyer, because I was under the impression from, Will and Michael Dyer that everything came back fine.
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, I know you're new
Yeah.
to this position, but, you know, sounds to me like you're wanting, to shut down our low band system.
Not necessarily.
To cater to the 800 system, which, you know.
I'm just trying to figure out a way to save some money.
I get that, but I mean, we're gonna abandon, as I've had the conversation with other people, we're gonna abandon the local fire departments to hear anybody else besides ourselves.
Well, that's where we can recoup, the possibility of recouping some of that money comes in.
We're gonna take us offline, so, just give me a call tomorrow, or we'll have a executive or something to talk about it, cause I don't understand how if you shut down a system, you're saving money, so.
Yeah, well, again, it was just, and something we're going to have to start thinking about, because they're not being used, they're sitting there, and they are costing us money, plus I'm getting ready to have to spend a good deal of money at the, sheriff's site on the, tower out there. Because the antenna is starting to wear away their new paint that they put on a year ago. And Sucker Fork is getting the antenna cable, it has busted loose. It is broken.
Actually, from what I understand, that was when they came and painted the water tower, they disconnected the wires, but they didn't put them back.
They never disconnected any wire, our wires never went flopping. They taped over.
Let's take this offline and we'll talk,
Okay,
we'll have a
do an
meeting with,
executive.
we'll have a meeting with the commissioners and talk about it, 'cause,
Okay. Another thing is, traffic on the 8th. We're going to have to think about that. We're gonna have a very large influx of traffic coming down 65, 31, Highway 3, and west on 56. People leaving the eclipse zone. I talked to someone who was at the Tennessee-Kentucky border for the last eclipse. It took them 16 hours to get back to Scottsburg because of the traffic.
So what are we gonna do? We only got so many roads.
I know, that's just, the schools are operating on a, virtual school that day. And then I'd just like to ask permission to ask businesses if they can, if it's non-essential work. No? Okay. That was asked me to ask.
We're not gonna
The
shut a
state is
business.
asking
We're not gonna
to,
shut a
you know,
business down.
to ask
for
if we
4
can keep
minutes.
non-essential people off the roads.
No.
To ask businesses to keep non-essential personnel, you know,
We don't do it for snowstorms and thunderstorms, we're not gonna do it for a 4-minute eclipse.
and,
I'm sorry, I'm talking, but I mean, what's your guys' thought?
I agree.
No, I agree.
I agree too, but it was one of those
I
that,
was gonna keep my mouth shut, let you look like the bad guy, but
Yeah, I
I
know
agree. If you're gonna ask.
Me.
no, 100%, but it's passed down the email chain to,
Does anybody ever come out of a Final Four, out of a Super Bowl, out of anything that's got major traffic? I mean, holy
Yeah.
cow, I mean, I get that there may be people show up, but I mean, I hope I'm proven wrong, but I just don't think it's gonna be anything, but
that's really all I had, so.
But we're not shutting down businesses or asking businesses to shut down, because as these two guys know, when the first flake of snow falls, everybody calls us wanting us to
Make it an
create
emergency.
a state of emergency so they can shut a factory down. I'm not doing that. I mean, if that factory doesn't feel like their employees need to be there, they need to shut it down and take the loss. So it's just like me being a fireman at a fire scene. If I call for a stat flight to come to the scene and they don't need them, or there's a bill, it comes to me. It doesn't come to the ambulance service or to somebody else. I'm the one that called them. So, but anyway, I don't see, I don't know what we can do outside of, you know, we'll give Greg and Randy and me a flashlight, we'll sit out there and direct traffic.
So,
all right.
So the other thing, we'll get together too, because.
Yeah, we need that
We
information.
talk about our presentation for communications.
Yep.
We're ready to do, so we'll work with you and check our calendars for that.
okay,
Yeah,
sounds good, guys.
We'll set up a meeting about, the radio.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you,
Thanks.
sir. I think Greg, this is you. Oh, Findlay Firehouse.
So really, what this is about, is really concerning our trash site, out there at Finley, and, you know, when, in the winter months, with the time change and such, you know, it's dark about 5 o'clock in the evening, we got a trash truck out there, and we've got a lot of people moving around, and, so, you know, our goal is, from us out there, is to put up a security light to try to enhance safety, for people running through there. And so I reached out to RMC the other day, and, I met them out on site. They came up with a cost of $1,080 to set a new pole and the security light. They are able to run it off the existing transformer, so there's no additional service charge for that. So only the $9 a month, fee for the security light, would be then in place after the initial $1,080.
So they bill us?
So I would set that up to where that billing would come to us.
I know this is something that, Jim Moon asked, you know, last fall,
I've got Jim out there as well. So.
about putting a security light out there, because there are times it gets busy when the truck's there and people's bringing their trash out there and people's moving around and it's pitch dark, and they were just afraid somebody's gonna get hit and run over or whatever, so.
And it is, it's dark. You know, there's a lot going on, so.
So where do you think the money, for the $1,080, where do you think we're gonna take it out of the commissioner's fund?
That's where I was gonna go with that, if you guys were open to that.
I'm good with that.
Yeah,
So, we need to,
I'll make a motion,
Randy makes a motion to get RMC to set a poll for
yeah.
the Finley trash site, so Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous, so. And that $1,080 will come out of the commissioner's fund that comes from Venture Trucking that pays us to store trucks or park trucks on county property. And I guess the $9 monthly fee will come out of that as well. All right, moving on.
I'd like to, while we're talking about that, before we go on the minutes, I'd like to amend the agenda to talk about, the, bridge dedication tomorrow. I would like, go ahead.
I'll entertain a motion to amend the agenda for Randy to talk about the bridge tomorrow, so, Randy?
I talked to you guys just briefly right before the meeting, but so everybody else knows. Could you bring that up off your email, put that on the screen?
For whatever reason, my connection doesn't do well here to bring things back up again.
So, anyway, what I would like to propose is that, out of that Ventura Trucking Fund, that we spend, about $5,000 to buy a life-size male, standing Vietnam, soldier, made out of brass, it's a brassy bronze finish. He is standing about 75 inches tall, 32 inches wide, and the base is 32 inches on it, and he weighs about 1,300 pounds. And locate him out there at the bridge as an honor to honor our vets.
Which bridge is this? I'm sorry, I'm trying to picture. Which bridge is it?
Main Street Bridge. Right now, all we got up is a plaque, and actually we need to talk about that too, because I think we're all in agreement that we want another plaque out there as well. So right now there's only one plaque, and yeah, you can see it if you're going north, but you go south, you just get to see the backside of a black plaque. So, okay. But anyways,
so where's the, I mean, I don't know anything about the statue. I mean, who makes them from?
It's an internet company I found online here. Anyway, I can send you a link. I'm not sure the company's name right now. I didn't get that enough. I know I wouldn't get internet, so I took a picture, a screenshot instead of, and I didn't get it all. I got the pertinent information about cost and what it looked like. So,
Yeah, I don't see a problem. I'm gonna say this because I said about our signs that we put out there, or the sign that we put out there, is that I hope it's there next week, because it seems to be that people love to take road signs, and this is a pretty nice sign, but I guess if we see it hang on somebody's garage someplace, we'll know that where it came from, because I think it's one of one.
yeah.
And, but the thing about it is I'm worried about it being gone, let alone, a statue being out there on a road with no lights or anything on it. So,
Well, I was gonna talk to Andrew, Boswell, and check and see if I couldn't, weld a beam onto the side of underneath the truss. so it's out, above the water, next to the bridge, about 8 foot out.
Oh,
And I know this is Scott County, and I know how inventive we can be, but.
The bridge inspections and such, I can't see that.
Huh?
I don't know, yeah, I mean, I don't know, I guess we could look at options,
Yeah.
to see how we can do that.
I'm not against it,
No, I think
I'd like to
get some ideas on.
get some ideas, we can mention it, that, hey, we're doing something, but we need to get another sign, because like I said, I thought we were gonna get something that was on both sides.
Like a double-sided thing, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'd be good to talk to him tomorrow on where that can, if it can't.
I mean, if not, then maybe we could, just do a concrete, pile in there or something and put it up on that, that's in a hard spot to steal.
Yeah, I think it's worth looking at, and I think veterans, over the years have not all got their due diligence they should have got, and some more than others, but never can do enough for them, so I'm not, definitely not saying no, so.
Need to do something, special other than just a sign to make it look.
We'll get some more information on it,
Yeah.
and we'll talk tomorrow with the engineers to see what they think we can do.
A little more special, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
So, I think we can do that.
Alright. That's it?
We need to we also need to make sure they get another sign, because we need to see it coming both ways.
Agreed.
Alright, consideration of regular special invoice.
You have one special invoice.
Do we have any regular claims?
No, it would be
Be
next
next
month. Yeah, or next meeting,
Next
sorry,
meeting.
next meeting. Well, we'll be, next meeting next month. Yes,
That's one and the same.
yeah.
And actually, Jeremy sent me a text while we were sitting there. There's a fire convention, National Fire Convention in Annapolis. He's gonna look up there, cause they've always had people up there with
There's a lot of vendors that
bronze
do those bronze
statues and
statues
stuff.
and signs, and I'll get information from a bunch of vendors and bring it down for you.
Looks like it's from Elite Technology, for,
Radios and programming. They're for the truck and the Tahoe and the ambulance.
okay, so you have the money?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is for, $11,200 for, looks like radios for, EMS. And it sounds like he's got the money, so I'll entertain a motion to pay
It's just not a normal vendor we deal with. That's the only reason I asked.
but it's an additional appropriation.
It is not.
It's not, you got it in your budget?
Yes, sir.
Alright, it's $11,200, so I'll entertain a motion to pay the special invoice.
I motion it.
Randy makes the motion, Greg?
A second.
Greg seconds, I'll make it unanimous, so. Consideration of the payroll for March the 8th.
There are no claims paid out of line 11910.
Okay. You read my mind.
I'll make a motion to.
Yeah, I'll entertain a motion to pay the payroll for March the 8th.
I'll make that motion.
Randy makes a motion, Greg.
I second.
Greg seconds, I'll make that unanimous. Consideration of minutes.
I've got two sets. I've got, February 13th and February 21st, I believe it is.
What was the two dates?
February 21st and February 13th.
13th?
13th, yes.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for February the 13th and the 21st.
I'll make that
Everybody's had an
motion.
opportunity, because I've been emailed to you, so. Randy makes that motion. Greg seconds that, and I'll make that unanimous.
Here's the set.
Anybody got anything else?
Happy birthday, Mike.
Yeah, thank you.
Happy birthday, Mike.
Yeah. I do have one thing. If you've lived under a rock for the last couple of weeks, Scottsburg boys basketball team has actually made history for Scott County. Being the first team, boys basketball team to win the semi-state. In a little history, 1956, Vern Aldemeyer, Hub Hoagland, Phil Stewart, I think Perry Hayes is on that team. Played in the final game of semi-state against Oscar Robinson, and got beat. I think in '69, Bill James got to the James game, got to the semi-state, got beat. '78, Paul Mayher, Paul Steele, Jeff Moore got to the semi-state, got beat. Washington. Yeah. '79, Tim Hutchison, rest of them semi-state got beat. Some of these kids are kids of those kids, I mean,
We're gonna win it.
well, I've watched them play a few times, and, yes, they are. I don't think there's anybody can touch them, but you never say never, and you can always be beat, so. But, just wanna acknowledge them, and hopefully there's a person left in town, come Saturday, next Saturday. So Nick, you keep an ambulance around, so, you know.
Also, we'll wish luck to Kevin's son, Kevin Hall, our highway supervisor.
Brownstown.
His son plays for Brownstown, they're playing for a state championship for 2
Bobby
days.
Coomer and
Bobby,
Christie.
with Chance, yeah, so we've got some stuff for kids over there that's playing for a state championship. We certainly hope the Warriors and the Braves win their.
Yeah, cause they're not playing each other, so they both win.
Two conference teams, and that's pretty special too, so.
Well, I did learn something, I guess everybody learns something every day, but didn't realize there was a ruling with the High School Basketball Association that says if you win the state championship, you will be moved up a class in your class. So Scottsburg's a 3A, so if they win the state championship, they'll be a 4A. Boys will be playing 4A basketball. So I don't think that's very fair, but that's the way it is. But if Brownstown wins, they'll be playing 3A instead of 2A, so. And they played a lot of 3A schools, so, I mean, but anyway, that's all I've got. I just wanted to acknowledge those guys and the team and fans, and I will say, fans have been very, good at these games. I mean, I've watched the game last week in Seymour and saw a student fan get thrown out of the game, escorted out by the police. I saw, the first game we played, the coach got a technical call on him, a player got a technical call. Actually, no, that's wrong. The second game, 3 players got technicals called on them, the coach got a technical call on him. I mean, so, our guys, of course, when you're winning, you're always up, but I've never seen them, even if they're down, they don't play that way, so. But again, enough of that, but got anything?
No.
Got anything?
No, good luck to the boys, and that's all I got.
Get you home so you can drink your Metamucil.
Actually, my wife's
Blow your
on
candles
TV, so. I'll entertain a motion to close the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Well, the fire department will stand by for that.